Hear the stories of men and women switching hustles and escaping the odds through entrepreneurship after prison. Not only will these stories inspire you, but also unlock business tips for financial freedom. Thank y'all for tuning in to another dope episode of Escaping the Odds podcast, where we interview the formerly incarcerated who are now successful entrepreneurs. I got my main man here with me, Divine, the fourth letter, hustlepreneur. Man, his brother has been doing this thing since he came home in the tech industry, Silicon Valley. We're going to get all into that, man. He's doing really some remarkable stuff in the community, man, just really giving back to the formerly incarcerated and the whole movement of prison reform. His brother is he's a wealth of knowledge, man, a connected piece, man, from within the industry. And so let's get straight to it. Divine, what's going on, bro?
Yo, peace, King. Thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
No, absolutely, man. I'm glad you took upon the offer, man. I initially read about you. I don't know if I was incarcerated when I read your story or if I was out. But nevertheless, man, it was really, really impressive, man. And what it did was it inspired me. Because initially, before I started Escaping the Odds Media, I wanted to get into that tech field, and that's not a place where you see a lot of us playing in that space, especially coming from where we come from, inner city America, New York City, myself, Chicago, and just coming up, in those kind of environments, we're really not exposed to that kind of a industry, man. And so, but before we get into that, just want to kind of get into your backstory, bro, man, like where you come from, man, and kind of talk to us about how you switch hustles and escape the odds through entrepreneurship, man, after staying home from prison and the whole nine.
Yeah, man. I could sum it up in a tagline from crack to rap to tech.
Okay.
No doubt. That's my tagline, from crack to rap to tech, because I came from the streets, man. I was born and raised up middle class. Unfortunately, my mother got addicted to crack cocaine during the early 80s, late 80s, middle 80s crack epidemic. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, I was thrust abruptly into poverty in the projects, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to learn how to survive because my mother was just lost in her addiction, and I lost some motherhood. I lost that motherly love and that care and all that. So I had to head to the streets and get to the streets. And,
right.
Crack was the only resource I had, man, to sustain myself, financially, man. So I gravitated towards that, started hustling, became really, really good at it. By 19 years old, I found myself facing a 7-year sentence in federal prison under the crack cocaine law.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was kind of like where everything started at for me. And that was a from crack piece. And that I ended up serving a total of 10 years incarcerated. And then while I was in prison, because I had always been loved hip hop and been influenced by the culture of hip hop, from b-boying, breakdancing, graffiti, DJing, and MCing. I gravitated towards MCing the most. Okay. And so when I went into prison, I started just honing my skills, as an artist, man, with a determined idea to kind of, to be able to teach and give positive messages through my music, because I had got knowledge of self while I was there, hence my name Divine, which came out of that experience of getting knowledge of self. And I said, I want to be this MC when I come home, and I want to give these messages and positive light and insight and knowledge through music. So that's from crack to rap. And then technology, when I came across famed venture capitalist, Silicon Valley billionaire Ben Horowitz, who had loved hip hop, and I made that connection then, and that's kind of how my journey went, man. You know what I mean? Kind of how I got into that space.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love it, man. Remarkable story, bro. So while you were incarcerated, man, was it like your first year, halfway through your bit, where you realized, like, you know what, man, crack, I ain't got another one in me no more, man? Or was it something that you decided to really do, like once you came home, like to step into that space of legitimizing your entrepreneurial skills?
So yeah, the timeline was a little bit different for me. The first time I went away, man, I was like, I'll be honest with you, my first bit, I was mad at the world. You know what I mean? I was mad, like, that I was, not only because I was locked up, but just how things went down when I got locked up. I had a 3-year-old son, you know what I mean, at the time. Um, his mother was my girl at the time, and things fell apart there. I was away. I had no family. Nobody sending me money, man. I had to make that 12 cents an hour in the feds. Eventually got a unicorn, surviving off $100 a month. You know what I mean? So I was bitter, man. And I didn't realize, how angry I was till I came home. I had never been, I had never drank before my incarceration. I'd never been like the strip clubs and all that type living that life. I was always focused on my son and my girl and just trying to build a way out for us out of the projects. When I came home and I fell into, into drinking, depression, and just got worse and worse. And, I started going to the strip clubs and introduced to that. And I was still young. I hadn't done none of that before. So it changed my whole mindset. And I started, this depression just started setting in. So I said, you know what? This is what I do, man. I'm nasty at what I do. You know what I'm saying? Got back to the thing, back to moving kilos, back to doing what I do best in the streets. But, that was self-destructive, man. You know what I mean? And I would never recommend anybody taking that route. And I had to learn the hard way. I was only out 19 months. I was back in doing another bit for 2.5 years. And, it took a while, man, for me to break free from that negative psychological cycle of recidivism. And not until, 8 years ago, it's been 8 years now, that I was able to break free. So the last time I was inside, I was like, yo, I'm too intelligent to be incarcerated and living a criminal lifestyle at this point in my life. I gotta change this, man. I gotta redirect this energy. So I said, what I really love doing, I love making money in the process of the grind and hustle. So entrepreneurship was a thing for me, man. And that's how I eventually came across, a story about Ben Horowitz.
Yeah.
And love for hip hop. And I made that connection, connected those dots, and was determined to win doing it legitimately, man.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I love it, bro. So tell the audience a little bit about that whole relationship, like that turning point when you met Ben Horowitz, and a little bit about who Ben Horowitz is, so the audience can kind of have a reference point. He's a big factor in Silicon Valley, and yeah. So if you can get into that for us, man, that'd be dope.
Yeah. So like I said, I spent years, man, almost 30 years, in and out of prison, dealing with recidivism, and after I met Ben, and Ben Horowitz is a venture capitalist in Silicon Valley, where tech innovation is born, if you would. The iPhone, Mac, Apple, all those things was born out of Silicon Valley, Cupertino, California, where Steve Jobs was raised and born and raised or whatever. Anyway, me and Ben, man, I always got to give praise to that man, his name, man, because that brother changed my life, man. He really, 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 his belief in me gave me the power to finally break free from that recidivism, that negative psychological cycle of that recidivism that I just couldn't break. And then I always gravitated back to the streets. After meeting him, he just gave me that inspiration and that motivation and that power, because his belief in me to finally break free from that. And I connected with him. He was authentic. He was real. You know what I'm saying? He was philanthropic. So we really, really engaged with who I was and my story and my background. Because I came from the music industry. Rakim was my man. It's still my man. Legendary Rakim. Salute to Ra. And Ben has seen them connections and was interested in who I was and all that. And then after we connected, I initially was going to ask him to invest in my music company, but I said, you know what? Now that I have this opportunity, will you mentor me? You teach me what how you became a billionaire. I want to just give me the knowledge, man. Money's cool, but give me the knowledge, man. I'll get my own money. You know what I mean? So I asked him to mentor me, and it led on this journey. I eventually wrote a rap about him, venture capitalists like Ben Horowitz. You can find it on YouTube. And when I wrote that, it inspired his wife to reach out to me and befriend me. And he played my joint for Nas, so that was crazy. And from there, man, his wife. I always say Ben Horowitz opened the door, and his wife Felicia Horowitz ushered me in. So shout out to Ben and Felicia as well. I always try to give them their roses while they can still smell them. I never hesitate bigging them up, man. Anytime I do an interview or anything about me, because it wasn't for my meeting with him. the stars collided, the universe,
Yeah,
manifested it, man. And I'm on my way because of that, man.
yeah, absolutely. And so, what was that business you decided to either have him or talk to him about investing in, or take to Silicon Valley? Because I know you spent some time out there on the West Coast in that whole environment. So, what was that business idea that you took out there, and how did that whole thing transpire?
Yeah, so I started IDing this financial technology company called BLAK FinTech.
Mm,
BLAK is an acronym that stands for Building Leverage, Acquiring Knowledge. So I started looking at I looked at my own life, my own personal experiences, because they say the person closest to the problem is the one who can solve it.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I came from poverty. I made crazy money in the game. I wasn't just no low level drug dealer. I was a substantial drug dealer. Kilos of cocaine passed my hands. Millions of dollars passed through my hands. But I wasn't wise enough at the time. I had that financial literacy to be able to leverage, that money and that positioning that I found myself in so early in life. So I look back at that like, yo, I really need financial literacy. I want to understand, the financial markets, finance. I just wanted to understand it, man, for myself. And then I wanted to not only understand it for me, but then I wanted to take it back to those also in the same circumstances, situations, or coming from that same background as I did. So I started IDing, the black card,
Mm,
prepaid debit card. But mine went a little bit further. Like people always would compare it to the rush card, but mine was much more connected to the community than the rush card. You know, so I was all about how could I add a social impact component to this, and the
mm-hmm.
social impact component was financial literacy. Then go a step further, entrepreneurship education.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. And so like that whole process of like raising money and pitch competitions and that whole just that whole process, man. What was that like, man? Like what did you learn from that experience? Because this is a role or environment, man, that we necessarily don't come from. We don't get the opportunity to be in some of these same rooms to be able to pitch these venture capitalists. So if you can walk us through that, man, that'd be great.
Yeah, man. Man, it was a grueling experience, man. You know what I mean? This is the world I never been in before. Everything's moving fast and momentum after meeting Ben and just being on the radar of the technology community and just being connected to Ben, man. Man, Ben's like the Michael Jordan of
Check.
Silicon Valley venture
Yeah.
capital. He like the
Yeah.
Rock him, you know what I mean, of venture capital, man. Like it gets no better. You
Right.
know what I mean? And he's so real and authentic. So it's like there was a lot of fanfare around me, man. A lot of eyes were on me. You know what I mean? So it's like that type of pressure is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a grueling process, just learning everything on the fly, and everything moved so fast. I never really got a chance to really lay back and just digest everything I had learned, all the experiences, all the people I met. But as I moved through it, the hustler in me took over.
Yeah.
I went
Mm-hmm.
into automatic pilot on from the hustle aspect as far as connecting with people, meeting people, building network. You know what I mean? Building relationships, which I've always been good at, especially at high levels. So that just kicked in and took over, and I was able to do that. So I was able to get Black FinTech was able to get into an accelerator incubator, Village Capital FinTech program 2016. Went through that, learned a great deal about the formal entrepreneurship education.
Uh-huh.
It was a crazy experience. And then they actually took us through teaching us how to pitch, how to approach venture capitalists, how to raise money, and I learned all those things. But it was still a hard way, and even with knowing Ben, it was still a hard way for me to go. Because really, at the end of the day, people invest in an entrepreneur. They want to know that they can trust you. They want to know that you're able to execute. That you're able to build a team. And I'm improving. It was my first time ever doing this. I'm improving, so it wasn't easy for me to raise money. It wasn't easy for
Mm-hmm.
me to get to be able to do that. We raised a little bit of seed capital, but really, man, it ended up
What
falling through.
seed? What seed capital?
So seed capital is just an early stage of if you think about a plant growing, right? Think about a plant, the growth stages of a plant. A seedling is planted in the dirt and the seed. You water it, you nurture it, it starts growing, and you start building it. So as a company, it's the same way. A new startup is like that seedling that you're planting, right? So the water, the capital is the water. You know what I mean? The water you put on it, or the sunlight that's needed for that seedling to grow and break through the dirt. And then from there, what they call scaling or growing through different stages of life and the life cycle to become a full-grown plant, if you would. That's the analogy of a startup. So when you have a startup that's just starting, seed capital is necessary to get that growth going. You know what I'm saying? To position yourself, to get strong. You know what I mean? So I raised a little bit of seed capital to do that, but it was more so just my team, and my team fell apart, and I found myself by myself, and just and I was dealing with life issues, and life got in the way. So I had to push that to the side and focus on my well-being from an emotional and mental standpoint, So that's kind of what happened with that.
Okay. As far as you mentioned the team, man, you and I both know how important the team is with anything, like professional or personal. I'm learning that like hands on, like building a team out. So what would you do differently as it relates to building your team? Because it sounds like that was probably one of the Achilles heel of the deal kind of falling through. Or correct me if I'm wrong.
Nah, you're absolutely right, man. I feel it was it was also my experience, a lot of my own experience as well, right? I'm new to building startups. I'm new to entrepreneurship, and that level. I mean, I'm at a high level, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm at a high level. This is not no games where I'm at. It's not playtime. You know what I'm saying? It's serious business, man.
And when you said high level, because I know venture capitalists, once you start getting that money, you got out there in Silicon Valley, it does place you in a different category. But if you can kind of briefly explain what high level is in that game.
I mean, we talking, I mean, $1 million is not high level. $1 million in Silicon Valley is not high level. So just think about $1 million, and when you think about what $1 million is at and what it does. We're talking tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. That like the high level like that. Where I had opportunities to position myself in different ways. But a lot of it was my own inexperience, man. I can't just fully put it on my team or the team that I lacked, or because I'm the CEO, I'm the leader. I got to make sure I put all this together. So it was like a lot of just inexperience, man. Not only did I enter technology not knowing anything about tech, but I entered the most regulated aspect of technology, which is financial technology. It's the most regulated. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of regulation in that space. So there's a lot of things I just didn't know, and I was learning everything on the fly. So I had to rely more on my team and other people that knew this space more than I did. You know what I mean? So if I'm going to pitch on the CEO, how much confidence is someone going to have giving me $1 million, right? You know what I mean? And knowing that I can execute and make it happen. So, we had meetings, we had deals on the table, deals fell through. But I had to lean back on more so what I was good at, what my skill set was, building relationships, connecting with people, building a network that would eventually bring out skills and talents in me that were better suited in other avenues than financial technology at that moment. Right. At that moment. Now it is a whole different game. Who I am, what I am, what I know, and how I would move forward in doing things different. Like you said, I would really like doing things different. I would just take more time, immersing myself in the business of what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Immerse myself deeper in technology, as far as financial technology specifically, business in general, and just learning more about the process of raising money and just different things, man. But you learn it as you do it. You know what I mean? Like someone like me, I learned it as I did it. And like I said, I never got a chance to like decompress, sit back, and like analyze and meditate on everything I had learned over the last 6 years. The last year is when I finally got a chance to do that. So you see, so you're actually getting a wiser, more insightful, more experienced Devon than the one that went in when they first met Ben Horowitz. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you know what, and that's what experience does. So it wasn't a loss. I know you look at it this way as well. It's more so like it was a lesson, So you were able to.
It's all been upside, man.
Yeah, that's it, man.
How can I complain, man? Like really, how can I complain, man? It's all been upside. And I'm gonna tell you even deeper because you have Killer Mike out with the Greenwood banking platform. That was my whole black idea. That was a black idea 5 years ago, G. So it's about time, it's about resources, about access, it's about it's about the team, it's about a lot of things, man. Or why you fail. But if you're gonna fail, as they say in Silicon Valley, or they say in entrepreneurship, fail forward, fail fast.
There you go. I love it, bro. I love it.
Yeah, you learn more from failing than you ever will from success.
Yeah, and I tell people that, man, it's kind of hard for somebody to kind of understand that, especially if they haven't really been through a lot of adversities. I look at my own life, man. I'm like, man, if I didn't go to prison and quote unquote fail, man, there would not be an Escaping the Odds media, man. We would not be on this conversation, having this conversation right now. So
right. No,
I look
exactly.
at all those things.
Exactly. Yeah, everything is a process, man. Everything has a process, a growth process, a growth cycle, and to that fruition. You know what I mean? And I think things are always unfolding as you live life, and we all go through life as human beings. Things are always unfolding.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's all about where you direct your energy, where you direct your mind, your mindset, how you move through these things, and how you execute, and how you engage those experiences, man.
Yeah, it sounds like to me, man. Just kind of talking to you previously. You like a connector, as you stated, like networking, and building social capital, man. That's your strong suit, and I can identify with that. So with that, like the businesses that you're involved in now, like kind of go into that, like how you kind of pivoted, because they use that word a lot over in Silicon Valley.
The pivot. We call it course correction. You know
okay,
what I mean?
okay, I never heard that. Okay, yeah.
Well, it's either pivot or you course correct. So yeah, I did a lot of course correction and correcting myself, man. And now that I have now that I'm more experienced, I've always been able to analyze things and download information and knowledge very fast, and as well as comprehend it very clearly, and then be able to to articulate it as if I've known it all my life. That's one of my gifts and my talents. So that me being experienced now in these spaces has really had people reaching out to me and contacting me and trying to reconnect with me and really leverage who I am and my background, where I come from. And I reconnected with Richard Bronson, who's the CEO and founder of 70 Million Jobs, parents company, 70 Million Resources. He found himself having to pivot when COVID hit. So he pivoted into a social network called Commissary Club. And he reached out to me as a brand ambassador to get involved with Commissary Club, which is the first and exclusive social network for people with criminal records. So we're basically aggregating 70 million Americans with criminal records, bringing them together, man, and seeing how we can tap into and leverage their financial power, their political power, their social power, in aggregate, if you would.
Yeah.
And so I've been working with Richard and his team over there. He has a very diverse team. Bringing me into the mix. I'm able to, I got my hand on the pulse of the culture. You look at the majority of the audience we're trying to reach, or the demographic are people of color. So I come from that same space, so I'm able to identify with that demographic, and be able to make sure that our messaging and our value prop is in line with that audience, man. So I'm excited about that. We have a weekly podcast we do called The Yard. And every week I'm also doing a social media live, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram, called Real Talk with Divine, and I bring on guests from different backgrounds, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether they're formerly incarcerated, not formerly incarcerated, and I just build with them on real things and in a real manner. So it's been a great experience, man, as we start building out our commissary club. So we're looking forward to the future with that.
Right. You mentioned you said a term, value prop, which is of course short for value proposition. If you can, man, for the audience, because you got a lot of entrepreneurs that listen, a lot of guys and women who's incarcerated, they listen, and the value proposition is really important when you are, you start your business, just knowing what you provide as a value base, if you will. So if you can kind of go into that, like the advice that you would provide to someone to kind of identify their value proposition.
Yeah, absolutely. So value proposition is basically what value are you offering your customer, right? Really honing in on that exact thing that you're giving your customer and why your customer would want to buy from you or purchase from you or be a customer of yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
And value prop contains different elements. Of course, what it is, who you are, what you do, right? Who does it benefit and why does it benefit them, right? So those are like the different elements of a value proposition. Why does it benefit them? Why would they want to spend their money with you or be a customer of yours? You know what I mean? So once you figure out your value proposition, you look at, okay, what's your business model? Business model is basically how do you make money?
Right.
How are you gonna make money through that value prop? And the value proposition has to be really tight, really solid, because and believe it or not, you talked about pivot earlier. A lot of how you start is definitely not how you end. You're always gonna have different iterations, or let me give it another term, different what do you call it?
Maybe add-ons or takeaways.
Yeah, add-ons, but there's another different versions,
Mm-hmm.
if you would. You know what I'm saying? You always gonna have different versions. The iteration is more about different versions of what you initially started with versus what you end up with. No one ever ends up with what they start out with. It just never happens.
Yeah.
And that's all about, like a startup. We talked about. We took the plant analogy of the plant.
Mm-hmm.
When you go plant from the seedling to a full-grown plant, same thing. Like what you start with is never what you end up with at the end of the day, because there's so many stages of growth and development that you go through, learn through the process of experience.
Yeah, no, you know what, you're absolutely right, man. It's like even starting this media company, I had a different vision for it. But as life do it, you know what I mean, and situations, like I tell people all the time, like what you put on paper, you may think that's the best situation, as it relates to business. But then it can end up even better than what you think. What you thought was the best situation was, right? Something you couldn't even conceive.
Or worse.
or worse, exactly, or worse, right?
Worse.
Yeah, and I think it just comes down to also just kind of adding the right team. We talked about that before, you know what I mean? Like being able to leverage their experience, and kind of help you see things differently. Like how you were stating, like when you were, in Silicon Valley, certain things you just didn't know. Heavily regulated industry, fintech, and so you have to lean on other people's experience, to kind of help guide you. But through that, you can speak intelligently on it now. You know what I'm saying? You can consult somebody who's thinking about doing something on that level. You know what I mean? Because of that experience. So yeah, man, I think you got a remarkable story, bro, man, and definitely a lot of great insight. And I know it's really cool, man, to have actually linked up with you. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I read your story before, and just crazy how God works, bro. You know what I mean? Like I don't believe in no coincidences, man. Just talking to you the other day, just to speak on social network, man, it was about 5 or 6, 7 people that we named that we kind of crossed paths with that, and it was crazy. It was like, wow.
We had similar processes. We went through similar experiences, definitely.
Yeah,
so that
man.
was wild. That was wild how we came to that and connected on that. Yeah, definitely, man. It's like, man, it's like life, you just never know how it's gonna be. The universe is always at work. You know what I mean? I just didn't decide to be an entrepreneur and then go through these magazines, find Ben, connect with Ben, have a thought in my mind. I'm gonna build with this guy. I'm gonna reach out to him. Like all these things, man. Like I think my path was destined for those certain things, and it's all about the choices you make. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to even reach out to him. I could have been like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. I could have been afraid to do it. You know how many people told me when they heard my story, like, yo, you reached out to him? Like they thought that was the hardest thing to ever do. I'm like, yo, that's the easiest thing. What you mean? You know what I mean? They looked at me like that was the hardest thing that they, in their own eyes, they couldn't do it. I saw that they couldn't do it. They didn't have the capacity to do it. And I can't understand that.
Yeah, me neither.
I can't understand why what you mean that you gotta shoot your shot, man. You gotta go for what it is, man. And I just saw the dots being able to connect. And not to say I definitely saw that they were gonna connect. I knew that the dots could connect. The possibility.
Possibility,
the possibility and the potential and the possibility in it. I'm an optimist, man. I see the glasses half full.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I saw the potential and opportunity that it could connect. Not that it was going to connect. How do I know if it's going to connect? And I don't know. Because he could have, my story could have fell on deaf ears to him. He didn't have to, go to my Kickstarter, put money on it. He didn't have to come back, give me his email address. His wife Felicia didn't have to call me and fly me out to Silicon Valley. None of that had to happen. You know what I mean? None of that had to happen, man. So it's all about, the impression you make on people, man. And I went into it pure, man. Like I wasn't on no
groupie time.
I'm trying on no grimy shit, on no negative, low frequency vibration shit. You know what I'm saying? It was all pure, man. It was all pure. And the universe knows better than anything. You know what I'm saying? The universe knew it was pure intentions. So the universe moves things, man. You know what I mean? Sometimes the universe will move men and women in situations, circumstances in your favor, man, because of your intentions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, totally agree, bro. Hey, so man, on the show, man, we got a lot of people in the audience who, for one, are incarcerated. It's a lot of people listening on their tablets inside behind those walls. Also, people on the other side of the wall out here in the free world that they want to be entrepreneurs. They want to be able to kind of start their own thing and just kind of have that financial freedom, man. That's one of the reasons why I started the podcast. So if you can give a nugget, man, for someone who's starting out, whether they're in tech or not, they want to create them a brand. What would be that one thing or a couple things you'll be able to tell them?
Yeah, it all lies in mindset first and foremost. It's all mindset. No matter what you try to do, if the mindset is not right, you're gonna fail. And hopefully failure will teach you the lesson that leads you to success. Right? So first and foremost, mindset. Second, embrace failure. Because you're gonna fail. There's not a question about it. It's gonna happen. And if you're gonna fail fast. Don't fail slow. Fail fast. And fail forward. Don't fail back. Fail forward. You know what I mean?
Right.
Believe in yourself, man. Believe in yourself. Believe in a higher power outside of yourself. Stay focused. Stay relentless. Execute, man. Do it, man. Just do it. Period.
Yeah. And something else I want to add to that is one thing I'm learning is like to find your lane. Hone in on what you're good at. You know what I'm saying? That value proposition, that thing that you can offer better than somebody else. And through experience, that'll come out. You know what I'm saying? You may start off thinking that you're good at one thing, but as you evolve, you realize like through that experience that, man, you know what? Maybe I should be taking a look at this. And like you say, when you got good intentions, man, your path will be guided. You know what I mean? And before you know it, you're in the right rooms, you're making the right connections. Things that you're doing is just they're firing on all cylinders, as they say.
Baby. It's
you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, definitely, man. I'm a definitely a living testament to that. This thing starting to kind of unfold for me, and it's a blessing, bro. But as we close out, man, I just want to make sure that the audience know how to reach you. I know you're on all social media platforms, the Twitter, the Facebook, the Instagrams, the website. So just kind of lay all that out for everybody, man, so they know that they can reach out to you and get at you if they need to.
Yeah, definitely. My website, www.thefourthletter.com. That's THE, the number 4, TH, letter, LETTER.com. My email address is divine, DIVINE, at thefourthletter.com. Please reach out to me. I'm always open to connect with people and network. It's one of my superpowers. So you're welcome to reach out to me. And all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, at Divine fourth letter. Again, DIVINE, letter 4, TH letter. Divine fourth letter.
Okay, got you, man. Oh, you know what, man? Before I failed to mention, man, I don't want us to close out, man, before we kind of briefly discuss the hustlepreneur course that you're working on and starting up, man. I think that's a valuable
Yeah.
program, man, to be able to leverage all your experience and just kind of give it back to the to the world.
Yeah. So I'm finalizing my course called Hustlepreneur course, and it's basically a way for me to empower people's hustle. So whatever your hustle is, I can show you how to empower it through the knowledge, mindset, processes, and tools of entrepreneurship to basically accelerate and elevate your success. Giving you deep insights on how I did it, how I was able to go from crack to rap to tech, with only 8th grade formal education, no decade of incarceration and no tech background. Go from zero to making double figures, man, and tens of thousands of dollars a year at a $1 billion valuated startup. How I was able to do that into Silicon Valley and continue on that pathway and that momentum. Yeah, man. I don't know if you know, my story's been featured in Forbes, TechCrunch, Black Enterprise, Entrepreneur, and Inc. And I only mention that to say that those are magazines I was reading when I was incarcerated.
Man,
I
tell
never
me
thought
about
that
it.
one day I would be in them, that my
Yeah,
story would be featured in them. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
bro.
yeah, man. So it's been a blessing, man. It's been work, man. It's
Yeah.
all about that positive intention and putting that work in, man, and being right, man, being right and exact.
No, hey, man, I love it, man. I love the story, man. I love the moves you're making, bro. And we locked in. We locked in for sure,
Straight up, you
man.
already know, King. You already know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so that's been our episode, season 2 of Escaping the Odds podcast, where we interview the formerly incarcerated who are now successful entrepreneurs making impact in the community. As we like to say here, opportunities over penitentiary, continuing to unlock freedom. You guys can check out this podcast on Apple. Make sure you guys review on Apple. Subscribe as well. Check out my YouTube channel. Also, escapingtheodds.com, where all the videos can be viewed and the whole nine. So I'm out there, just really continue to push the brand, continue to support Divine and I as we move past our previous incarceration, man, and kind of bring value to the world. Also, I got merchandise. Switch Hustles by Escaping the Odds. Got the hoodies, as you guys see here. Got them in black, got them in blue, got them in green, got them in burgundy. Pretty much, you know what? Any color you want, we're gonna make it happen for you. So just reach out to us, DM me, and let's make it happen. Thank you all for continuing to support Escaping the Odds podcast and Escaping the Odds media. For 2021, man, we're doing big things. So thank you all for tuning in. Peace out.